Hey everybody, welcome back to Garden Time with Belle. Today is such an exciting day. I just grabbed the camera real quick. I don't have my mic on, so I hope you can hear me. But today is the day that we top off our brand new Birdies raised beds. Went with the tall variety, so as I get a little bit older, it'll be a lot easier for me to plant and harvest and tend to some of my veggies and herbs in these tall, beautiful beds. And so I'm going to turn the camera around here and show you what's already been put in the beds. So before I get started and show you the steps we took to get to this place, I'm going to ask everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to bring you all some of my gardening adventures and to get to hear from you all on what you're doing in your gardens. Okay, so just a little quick background here on our choice of these raised beds. So those of you who watch my channel know that I have an enclosed 9-box raised bed garden made out of wood. The boxes were, my husband and I started when we moved here with just 2 boxes, and then it exploded to 9 different raised beds. And this year I decided I wanted to retrofit and to pop out some raised beds we had here for these tall Birdies beds. I will make sure I provide you guys a link to the Birdies raised bed company so that you can check out these amazing raised bed if you're interested. So you can see here, I chose the charcoal color of raised beds. They come in lots of different colors. So, you do you, whatever your flair is, what you like. I picked the charcoal because if you take a look at our beautiful Yoder-built greenhouse, which you've seen me feature on many, many videos, I just kind of like the way that it coordinates with that. So I only decided to swap out 4 raised beds. Thank goodness, I'm sure my husband is thanking me because he built these for me and retrofitted them with a lot of work, but I only chose to do 4 because I grow really tall crops too, and vining crops, and of course these are about 30 inches high, and so I wouldn't want to grow things that get 4 and 5 feet tall like tomatoes and some of my cut flowers because I'd have to harvest way up here. So we're gonna keep our lower ones. I have a feeling, knowing me, someday I may want to get Birdies beds. They make a low version, a 15-inch version. These are 12-inch, but right now we want to experiment with these, and so I could not be happier. You're going to notice this plastic here. We'll pull that plastic off after we completely fill everything, but we had read lots and lots of reviews and ideas from other people that said, you might want to leave that protective plastic coating on when you're assembling them and getting them started so that you don't end up scratching this metal. And I think that was a pretty smart idea. They also, when they come, the interior has this plastic coating, and of course you want to take that off because you've got a lot of assembly, a lot of screws and brackets and braces to deal with. So anyhow, that is what that plastic's about. So that'll be gone here pretty soon. But my dear sweet husband Alan, oh, what a great gardening partner. He is Mr. Muscle, and I am so fortunate to have him. Otherwise, I don't think, there's no way I could do this on my own. I would have to help and hire some muscle to do it. So what he's doing right now is he has just come back from a compost company here in our town, here in Columbia, Missouri. And Alan, how much raised bed mix did you purchase? How much raised bed mix did you purchase?
I bought 2 buckets, essentially 2 yards.
2 cubic yards is what we think is going to fill the top of these raised beds. So now the hard work is, and he's choosing to fill them with 5-gallon buckets to fill that up and dump them in on top. Fun fact about my sweet hardworking husband, he was raised on a farm. So, even though he's not that 20-something that I fell in love with years ago, he has hauled so many things in 5-gallon buckets in his whole life that this is no big deal for him, but it would be a big deal for me. So anyhow, that is what we're choosing to do. Yes, we could back up a little scoop loader or whatever you call those little machines and dump it in, but that would require us to take down our is this 6 foot, 7 foot tall fencing
6 foot tall fence.
that keeps the deer and critters out, and that is something that he decided wasn't worth doing, so he's going to use his muscle manpower and help top off these beds with some really high quality raised bed compost mix. So after loads of research on people that happen to garden this way and use these very tall beds, we of course learned about the hugelkultur method of gardening, and that comes from Germany. And basically the idea here is that when you have a really deep bed or a deep place in the ground, you want to layer it with lots of things that will break down organic materials over time, and then top it off with fresh, lofty soil to plant in. And so what we did, and I'll show some pictures of the screen, some still photos I took earlier in the process that I didn't capture on video. But basically, he had to pull out our old wooden boxes, dig these in and set them over about 12 inches of soil that we kept from the old raised bed boxes. And let me tell you, retrofitting these was not easy because you can't see it on the video very well, but this bed slopes a fair amount, and so he wanted to make sure that these boxes were leveled. So actually this end of the box is cut in down about 4 inches versus this end because the slope is like this. So to get it leveled, he really had to work quite hard. It's much like remodeling a home. You know, building a home from scratch is easy. Retrofitting or remodeling a home where you have to retrofit everything is much more difficult. So, you know, word to the wise, if you want to start out with these in a fresh, flat, level space, it would be so much easier than retrofitting. But we feel like it's definitely been worth it, and he has worked really hard to get them to this point. So let me show you in here what's in here. So the hugelkultur method, we have the original 12 inches of soil, and then we threw some logs on top of that with some branches, and then you all know I compost, so I save non-diseased refuse like this and keep that in my compost bins. Let's see if I can zoom in and show you where those are. Do you see those 3 bins over there? It doesn't show up very well through the fence, but those were full from garden refuse that I had put in there last year. So that's what you see. It doesn't look very pretty, does it? However, this is amazing material to fill up raised beds. It is full of organic material, browns and greens that will break down and feed the soil and be a wonderful habitat for earthworms and all kinds of beneficial insects. So that's what's in here now. We chose to fill these beds up to about a foot from the top, which, you know, we're not very precise about that, but pretty close. And then you see what he's been doing is then he's going to fill the top foot with this beautiful high quality raised bed compost mix. And that will make planting my seeds and planting my transplants into these raised beds. Oh, it'll just be so great for the health of our plants. It is such a beautiful mid-March sunny day that I had to put my sunglasses on because I couldn't see what I was doing. So yeah, all he's got to do, haha, is go ahead and top these beds off with that soil. And then when that's all done, I'll turn the camera around and kind of show you the completed project and talk a little bit about our drip irrigation because he had to retrofit that as well. Well, it just so happens it's the next day. Yesterday, I started my video showing you our wonderful new exciting garden reno out in our raised bed garden where we installed 4 brand new 30-inch Birdies raised beds. And as with most garden projects, we didn't have enough soil. We purchased 2 cubic yards of really high quality raised bed compost mix to top off our beds, and we ran short. So my husband had to run back to the landscape company and purchase another cubic yard. We got those put in last night and let the soil settle in a little bit. So I'm going to take you outside into the raised bed garden here in just a minute to show you how wonderful the new beds look. But before we do, I actually have been busy this morning sowing about 150 seeds for some crops that are going to go out in that raised bed. So let me turn the camera around so you can see what I've been up to, and then I'm going to show you the finished product of these amazing tall raised beds. Well, if you all live in a zone 6 like I do and garden here, it is a seed starting marathon. So let me show you the new seeds I sowed today. I sowed ageratum. Let's see, ageratum timeless for some cut flowers. Never grown those before. I'll see if I can put pictures of these things on the screen so you'll know what I'm talking about. And then here in front, I have a whole tray of Celosia flamingo flower, another beautiful cut flower. And then back here, I have a tray of tomato plants, and I have started 6 variety this time. Let's see here, Cherokee Purple, my all-time favorite, Kellogg, Amish Paste, Sun Gold cherries, Super Sweet 100 red cherries, Harvest Moon. And then in this tray, I've got a row of San Marzano tomatoes and German Johnson tomatoes. And then I've got some onion in this spot. All right, in this tray back here, I have 2 different things. I have marigold, and the variety is Chica Flame in half. And then I had some nasturtiums left over, and so I've got nasturtiums, orchid flame, and in this little 12 cell, I've got a row of orchid flame nasturtiums and a row of Alaska red. So I am well on my way to seed starting. And of course, those of you that have been with me, you know I've got loads of other seedlings ready to go. I've got lots and lots of beautiful Maverick Bullseye geranium in the color salmon, and they are loving life in the greenhouse. So now I'm going to get this camera turned around. I'm going to take you out into the raised bed garden so we can take a look at my new raised beds. Okay, here we are. Let's come in and take a look at our beautiful Birdies bed. So here they are. Looks a little bit different from earlier in the video because I removed all the plastic on the exterior. My husband retrofitted for new automatic drip irrigation, which we haven't installed yet, but he's got the main feeder lines installed, and he chose to install these on the exterior of the bed. Some people like to run them up actually inside the bed, but we got to thinking and we were a little concerned if something goes wrong and malfunctions, having to dig through 30 inches of soil and all the other kinds of things that we have in here, that could really kind of be a pain. So we will be hooking these up to our drip tubing in probably about another week or so when we're sure that there's not going to be any danger of freezes or frosts. So as I mentioned, last night we completed filling them, top dressing the top foot with some really high quality raised bed compost mix that we get from a local landscaper. We get things in bulk. When you are needing to fill this much space, I can't recommend strongly enough that you avoid buying bags of soil, and you can try to get things in bulk so much cheaper. We're fortunate enough that we have a trailer and a truck so we can go pick up things. So find a good friend of yours that might have a truck or trailer that can help you go get some bulk soils if you need it, but also a lot of landscaping companies will actually deliver the soil and mulch right to your home. And so that's another option for you. You can certainly use bag mix, but oh my gosh, the cost compared to bulk is just a huge savings. So that's what we decided to go with. The other thing I spent time doing this morning is watering in these beds. I really soak them. Probably 4 or 5 times I went around and ran the hose over and over again because, this is a massive amount of soil and sticks and logs and garden compost that needs to break down. And I expect this soil is going to settle this year. That's just part of the process. It's going to be filling in all of those gaps that were found in all of the other layers. We use the, oh gosh, what's it called? The hugelkultur method. I mentioned that earlier in the video. And so that soil is going to go settle in all around the things below. And so I expect that to drop. But I really wanted to get it soaked in. I even raked it and soaked it again and then raked the top. So after I'm finished sharing a little bit more about the process and why we settled on these wonderful tall beds, I'm going to get after it and I'm going to start sowing some seed. We call it direct sowing, where you sow right into the ground outside instead of starting in any kind of seed starting tray. So anyhow, but I'm going to save that for my next video so that I can take some time and share with you all the different veggie crops that I'm going to be starting in my brand new beds. Yay! Well, it's a very sunny, beautiful March day out here in my garden, and I just thought I'd do a quick wrap up about these beautiful raised beds that we just recently installed in our veggie urban cut flower garden. Could not be happier. So far, so good. Couple of things that I thought I'd share with you all, some tips and tricks that my husband thought I would want to mention to anybody that's considering getting these raised beds, something like this. There are different brands on the market. We went with Birdies raised beds. They're made in Australia. After quite a lot of research and reading a lot of reviews, I've been wanting these for a couple of years now, and I'm glad I took my time to do the research before we went with this brand. A couple of quick tips. Number one, when you are assembling these, you want to really help yourself out to make it easier on you. If you can find a way to elevate a surface and assemble them up high. My husband had a couple sawhorses and, big sheets of plywood, and he found that to be so much easier than to be on your knees or squatting down. If you're 20, 30 something, it's probably no big deal for you, but when you get to be a certain age, why work harder? So we work smarter when we can, and just having them elevated made his process a lot easier and quicker. I would say also, this is sort of a two-man job. My husband did it by himself, but my husband's a former home remodeler and carpenter. He can do anything. He has loads of experience. But if you're brand new, you could still do this if you don't have that experience. I feel confident. But I would say get a buddy, get a friend, get your partner, somebody to help you put them together. And I think it would be a pretty easy DIY job. One of the other things that he mentioned to me that you would want to know about is they come with this little rubber gasket that you cap off the tops with. So all around the rim here, it's not sharp, but they give you this nice little rubber ring that you have to adhere, and that can be challenging. So he found using a flathead screwdriver to open up and get it started, and then use the smooth side to press it down all the way around the edge really helped the job go a lot easier. So that's about it for today's project and sharing with you all how we went about selecting these Birdies raised beds. And my next job, as I mentioned, is to get my cool weather crops in the ground, and now I have this wonderful elevated space to grow a bunch of my cool weather crops. So I think I'm going to hold off and share that in my next video. But meanwhile, I just want to thank you all so much for hanging out with me and my husband. You got to see a little bit of him in the video from yesterday as we just got to share with you our excitement over what's going to be an absolute pleasure to grow in these tall raised beds where growing and harvesting and tending to the plants is just going to be so easy on our bodies and our backs, and a pleasure for the months to come. So thanks so much again, everybody, for hanging out with me today as I got to share my excitement about these beautiful new raised bed garden boxes that we installed. And of course, until next time, I wish you all happy gardening.